Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, Northern California opening night. We are very honored to have you all present here this evening. In the name of God, the most great and most merciful, let us have Hadi Safiullah bless this event with the Islamic prayer.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. پروردگار هر دوست عزیزی که در راه استای خدمت به وطن قدمی برمی‌دارند، خدای قدم‌هایشان را ثابت و مؤید اموراتشان باشی، همه‌شان را موفق و کامیاب و رستگار بگردانی. و صلی الله تعالی و سلم و بارک علی سیدنا محمد و علی آله و صحبه اجمعین. آمین.
The first guest speaker of the evening, he is the president of San Jose State University. Prior to being that, he was the president of Cal State East Bay in Hayward, California. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Humayun Qayoumi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Tareen and all of his colleagues in launching the Northern California's chapter of Afghan American Chamber of Commerce. It's wonderful to be in this momentous occasion. First of all, trade is such an important element in today's world. Wherever we look at, for instance, globally, trade now is over 60% of the global GDP. So from that point of view, we can see that the importance of trade is quite a bit. And that's why President Obama, recognizing the importance of trade, set up a goal that by 2015, the U.S. will double its trade with the world. So from that point of view, it's very important, and it's great that we started this chapter, and I want to recognize all of the individuals, especially Mr. Tareen, who worked on this wonderful initiative in starting this event here in Northern California. I had the pleasure of attending a number of the Afghan American Chamber of Commerce events in Washington, D.C., and I was very struck by the level of support it has received both from the Afghan community as well as the American community in Washington, D.C. For Afghans, commerce comes very natural. The reason it comes very natural, we have an over 5,000 history of commerce. The world knows about Silk Road. In reality, Afghans used to use those roads for commerce way before silk was invented. Actually, if you go back to the Middle Kingdom, during the Middle Egyptian kingdom, Afghanistan's lapis lazuli and salt from mountains of Badakhshan was used to be taken all the way to Cappadocia in Turkey, current Turkey, as well as the Middle Kingdom of Egypt. So you can see that this has been within Afghan's blood when we talk about commerce. Secondly, even if you look at the last 30 years of tumultuous conditions that Afghanistan has had, we see that the Afghans have been very active in commerce, not only within Afghanistan, but if you look at the neighboring countries, especially places like the United Arab Emirates, or Uzbekistan, or China, or other places, the Afghan commerce sector has been very active and has been working quite successfully and contributing to the communities that they have been serving. I think if you look at locally also, the Afghan Americans, one of my colleagues that I've seen here in the Bay Area, they are trying to do their best to see how they can be very active. I think at this point, especially when we look at the 2014 and the transition plan for Afghanistan, I hope the policymakers really look very hard and put a lot of emphasis on commerce, because the traditional models of financial aid to Afghanistan, as well as the region, has not been very successful. There are many studies that show that for every dollar of investment in Afghanistan, that's equivalent to over $20 of foreign aid. So it means that if we're able to invest in Afghanistan, especially if you're able to find ways that we can really encourage investment in Afghanistan, and as part of it, create commerce. Now, when we talk about commerce, it's not just trying to build factories or trying to start investments there, but how can we really build the entire chain value? Because that really is the basic element. It's not only trying to see what we can do in Afghanistan, but how we can really build the whole chain value. And if we are able to create that supply chain system, as part of it, we can create the value system that will not only help people in Afghanistan, as well as people here in the US, and it will help both countries, and it will be something that would really help to the stability of the region. Of course, whenever people talk about Afghanistan, one of the issues that normally comes, and that is the problem of narcotics. I think if you continue just the way that we have done, which is trying to see how we can destroy people's fields without leaving them any livelihoods, we've seen that that has not been very successful. But I think one of the very basic elements that we forget, if you look at it globally, there is not a single country where they have a narcotic problem where their gross domestic product is over $1,000. So if you are able to increase, if you're seriously trying to take care of the narco problem in Afghanistan, if we are able to increase commerce, where the livelihood of the people in Afghanistan could increase to those numbers, that will be the way that we can simply take care of even the narco problem. And Afghanistan can really be a center of democracy and stability in that whole sea of tumultuous region that Afghanistan currently is located. So again, it's a pleasure to see all of you here tonight. I hope this will be a very good beginning, that we really see steps, very stable steps by the policymakers of the US, by many of our local Congress men and women, as well as our cities and counties, where we can find ways to promote commerce between the Afghan community here as well as Afghanistan, both in terms of products that both countries can really benefit from. Because part of that is that we need to look at not only what we could be exchanging right now, especially if you look at the whole aspects of mineral resources that Afghanistan has, and many of them being key strategic minerals. I think that's going to be very beneficial to both of our countries and to both societies. So As part of that, especially with a large number of Afghan Americans in this area, very eager and very interested and sincerely trying to see how not only they can build the local communities that they have here, as well as trying to build a safe and stable Afghanistan. Commerce can really play a very important role. And as part of that, this chapter that has been started could really be one of those hubs that can really increase that kind of activity. So again, it's a pleasure to be with all of you. I want to congratulate Mr. Tareen and all of those who have been the organizers of this program and this activity, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Salam marhaba gifurasa. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As second-gen Afghan American here, an active member of Danish Cultural Association and also Afghan California Business Council, I'm really excited to see that such platform as this is being created here in Northern California. This is a much-needed platform. I think we've got great talent, and as Dr. Kayumin very eloquently put it, we have it's deeply rooted in our blood and in our genes. So I'm very grateful for this event and to have this chapter here, and to serve as a platform for all the Afghan Americans, entrepreneurs, and businesses that can serve themselves and also help rebuilding Afghanistan. Very excited to have you guys here. Before I introduce our next speaker, I'd like to say a few things about her. She's very passionate, energetic, creative, inspirational, and can be feisty at times. She's the host of multiple television programs, ranging from teaching dairy to young children, and also opening her phone lines dealing with the social issues and challenges that faces the Afghan American community. She's based out of Pleasanton, California, here for New TV. Please help me welcome Ms. Gulsum Aziz.
دانشمندان، بزرگان، مالکین تشبسات تجاری و مهمانان عزیز، سلام های گرم من و همکاران تلویزیون نور را بپذیرید. برای من جای بحث افتخار است که در افتتاح مجلس تشکیل اتاق تجارت یعنی Afghan American Chamber of Commerce در شمال کالیفرنیا من حیث شخص مطبوعاتی که مدت 3 سال اول کار تلویزیون نور به حیث سیلز و مارکتینگ ایفای وظیفه می نمودم و همچنان مدت 17 سال سلف امپلوی بودم سهم میگیرم. از جناب محترم آقای قاسم ترین رئیس اتاق تجارت یعنی رئیس اتاق تجارت در شمال کالیفرنیا یعنی AACC American Afghan Chamber of Commerce سپاسگزار هستم که از من دعوت نمودند تا پیام همبستگی، اتحاد و همکاری خویش را اعلان نمایم. میتوانیم ادعا کنیم که 30 ساله که یک دوره نهایت طولانی است و از هجرت ما در این کشور میگذرد و خواه‌مخواه هجرت مشکلات، رنج و چالش‌های خود را دارد، اما جای بحث افتخار است و جای شکرگزاری از خداوند بزرگ است که ما امروز من حیث یک کتله کوچک بسیار مهاجر این کشور با موفقیت‌های علمی، تجاری، معنوی و اقتصادی نائل آییم. امروز الحمدلله مساجد، تلویزیون‌ها، اخبار هفتگی، سایت‌های اینترنتی، تشبسات تجاری و اقتصادی و افتتاح همچون محفل امشب موفقیت‌های چشمگیر ما افغانان در دیار هجرت و غربت است. چنانچه ما از این کشور آموختیم there is always room for improvement. در 30 سال گذشته در رساندن کمک‌های مادی و معنوی برای مردم رنجیده افغانستان داده‌ایم. بیایید یک بار دیگر با به خاطر داشتن کلمه الله که به حرف الف شروع می شود و 3 کلمه دیگر که عبارت از اعتماد، اعتدال و اتحاد است برای سعادت و موفقیت مردم بیچاره افغانستان قدم بگذاریم. تا اعتماد نباشد اتحاد به وجود نمیاید، تا اتحاد نباشد اعتدال به وجود نمیاید. یک بار دیگر با این 3 کلمه که اتحاد، اعتماد، اعتدال و اتحاد است با آن عمل نموده و کار خود را آغاز نماییم. دست به دست همدیگر داده همکاری و رابطه تجاری و اقتصادی خویش را در این کشور با هم و با مردم رنجیده افغانستان محکم‌تر سازیم تا باشد برای کسب رضای پوشیدی الله جل جلاله و کمک به دیگران ما را برای سعادت و کامیابی سبق دهد و من الله توفیق.
Our next guest speaker, he is a well-respected Afghan community leader as well as a successful journalist. Please help me in welcoming the Honorable Mr. Habib Kameki.
الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحاجة ده محترم رول قاسم ترين ستتشكر ومدنكم جماعة كي دجمو كي راكلا هذا قدر النوغني كي زمور دقران هوات منوار أفغان دكتوران علماء تشدري زخبري وكنا دوستانو څنګه چې په یو زما تقریبا په شونو 15 کالو کې چې په کالفورنیا کې په ډیرو سیاسي او فرهنګي کلتوري غونډې ملګري دي او دا لومړی ځل دی چې افغانان د اقتصادي مسایلو کې داسې یو پرتمینه غونډه جوړوي ځکه چې اقتصاد د یو ټولنې د بشري ژوندانه او سیاسي ژوندانه لپاره یو بنسټ او اساس تشکیلوي او خصوصا دا غونډه چې خاص هدف او مقصد یې په ګران هېواد افغانستان کې د تجارتي او اقتصادي مسایلو پرمختګ او پراختیا ده دا یو غټ اقدام بولم د داسې غونډو جوړول نه یوازې دا چې موږ ته سره نږدې کوي د غونډو او خوندو منځ کې اتحاد او اتفاق راولي د دې ګټې نور هم د افغانستان د سیاسي اقتصادي او فرهنګي ژوندانه لپاره هم یو پرمختللی ګام بولم دوستانو زه تقریبا یو ورځ یا دوه ورځې مخکې د افغانستان څخه راغلم ما تقریبا 6 ورځې په افغانستان کې چیرې کړلې د کندهار په ولایت کې تقریبا 15 ورځې او 15 ورځې په کابل کې کړې په افغانستان کې تقریبا پیسې به خېږي چې فکر نه کیږي ما چې دا چا سره خبرې کولې د هر چا به تقریبا د لکو یو لکو ډالرو خبرې کولې چې ما هیڅ باور نه کوم ولې متاسفانه په اقتصادي لحاظ داسې کار نه دی شوی چې هغه د افغانستان د پیشرفت او پرمختګ لپاره یو ښه اقدام وي زما په نظر لوی علت دا دی چې هلته یو ښه اداره یو ښه منیجمنټ او یو ښه مدیریت وجود نه لري ما ولیدل په کندهار او کابل کې چې حتی دغه کورونو تعمیرونه جوړېدله دا ټوله د پاکستان څخه خلک راتله موږ په ټول افغانستان کې یعنې په کندهار او کابل کې چې ما ولیدله موږ نه بنا لرو او نه نجار لرو زموږ دیوالونه زموږ کورونه ګرځه د پاکستان د پنجابیانو لخوا څخه جوړېږي دروازې د ایران لخوا څخه راځي نو زما خواهش او ارزو دا ده چې دغه کمیټه چې نوی په کار شروع کوي دوی به دغه مسایلو ته توجه وکړي په لومړي قدم کې هلته داسې خلک وروزي چې هغه په اقتصادي مسایلو کې لاس ولري پوهه ولري دانش ولري نو زه نه غواړم چې ډېرې خبرې وکړم ما ته ترین صاحب ورته 15 دقیقې وخت لري بیا هم د دې غونډې جوړېدل او د دا منیجمنټ منځته راتلل زه یو لوی بری بولم او د لوی خدای هیله کوم چې دغه دوستان چې په دغه کار یې لاس پورې کړی دي نور موفقیتونه لاسته راوړي او د ټولو خوندو او ورونو څخه زما هیله دا ده چې د دغه دوستانو سره همکاري وکړي هغه څه چې په لاس او واکې چې د دې سره شریک کړي زه د خپل ځان لخوا څخه هغه څه چې زما په توان او قدرت کې وعده ورکوم چې انشاءالله په دغه لار کې به دې سره کومک او هلې ځلې وکړم نور نو په خدای سپارم زنده باد افغانستان زنده باد ازادي افغانستان ووحدت ملي وبرادري در بين تمام اقوام افغانستان تشكر كثيرا.
Our next speaker, he's served as a prosecutor for Alameda County District Attorney since 2006. And just to add to that, I've actually personally experienced Mr. Swalwell's commitment towards reaching out to all the minority communities and lending support. Please help me welcome Mr. Eric Swalwell.
Salam. Thank you for having me, and congratulations to this chapter on its opening. And I have to tell you that as a prosecutor, when I'm speaking to this many people, they are usually summoned for jury duty. And they're not very happy to see me. So I'm very happy to be here today. I can tell you, as a prosecutor, I have worked with your community, and I've seen it grow, and I've seen the richness in the diversity and the culture of the people who are very proud and hardworking. And it's the District Attorney's Office's goal to continue to work with the Afghan community and to teach the community about its basic rights and what the District Attorney's Office can do primarily for victims of crime. I also have the pleasure to serve the City of Dublin as a councilman. And in my role as a councilman, I've seen 3 things happen in the last year, which I'm very proud of. One, the Sahara market, which is our local Afghan market, is growing and expanding, and it's very good for the community to see a minority business grow and expand like that. Also, we're in the process of bringing a Farsi language school to Dublin that will use our classrooms, and I've been working with one of my colleagues in Heritage in Dublin. This past year, we had a band of Afghan community men and women marching in the parade, and I think that really added to that parade, and I want to see that kind of tradition continue to grow and work with the community. Now, as a new chapter, I see two challenges for you to be able to sustain yourselves and thrive. And the first challenge, I think, is to dig deeper, because I think right now the level of support that is here is very important, and it's a very strong base. But dig deeper in your community and find those folks who have not yet been touched, so you can bring in and help you support yourselves as you go forward. The second challenge, I think, is to branch out and really challenge yourselves to be as seen as possible in the community. And I can tell you, I've seen this work in Dublin with my colleague in the District Attorney's Office, Naheed and Zahila, who have really gone everywhere, been everywhere, and you wouldn't believe the difference they've made by just going to different community events and making themselves seen. And it's that old adage, 80% of life is just showing up. That has really benefited the community in Dublin. I think that will benefit you. I think for investment in Afghanistan to take place from the United States and for that export relationship to exist, we really need to see more support from small businesses here locally. And once there's confidence for Afghan business owners to continue to grow locally, I think there will be confidence to reach across and invest in Afghanistan. And I hope that we see that happen. But just here tonight to thank you for having me here. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to working with you as you grow in the region and across the United States. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Our next guest speaker is the co-founder and chairman of ROI3, the president of Business Development Associates, as well as an elected member of Afghan American Chamber of Commerce. Please help me in welcoming Mr. William Jordan.
Thank you very much. I met Qasim Taran maybe 24 months ago, and as a result of all of the conversations I've had with him, either in person or over the telephone or by email, I feel that I actually know many of you because he's spoken so much about the diversity and the strength and the interest and the enthusiasm that you have for Afghanistan, and hopefully for the development of the AACC chapter here. The Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, Inc., I stress that Inc., Incorporated, is a corporation. It's a non-profit corporation registered in the state of Virginia. It, as a corporation, has its own bylaws, and it's also been designated by the Internal Revenue Service, a group that you may have heard of now and then, as a 501c3 corporation. As a result, we had to consider many issues over the last 18 months in order to develop the concept and the foundation for chapters independent of the one that you're meeting here about in order to form a specific chapter. Issues such as membership. The board wrestled with a lot of policy issues. Each chapter will be an element, a constituent part of AACC, but each person in the chapter will be a member of AACC, and that the membership dues will be shared between AACC and the chapter. A second major issue would be the geography. This one is Northern California. We want to develop others, perhaps in the New York metro area. We want them identified to some degree by their geographical base. A third element is just simply how you organize yourself as a chapter, to have officers and all of those things in order to operate. So we went through a whole process to lay this foundation. And it's been a really interesting experience for our board and for the organization. Last January, the General Assembly of the members of AACC, which is the ultimate governing body of this organization, did pass a resolution incorporating the concept of chapters in our bylaws and authorizing the board to develop policies and procedures in order to implement that directive. So all of that has led to this, the invitation that many of you received to come here this evening. And in that regard, I want to thank Qasim for all of the work and effort that he's put into this. And he's a pretty savvy guy, so I'm sure he will appreciate my final comment, and that is that the work has just begun. Thank you, Bill.
Our next speaker has already been to Afghanistan 21 times, and he's made it a full-time job to help rebuild Afghanistan since 2002. You know, it's really extraordinary to see people from outside of your background to do so much to celebrate your community and to do so much to make it visible to all those outside of our community. So with further ado, we would like to invite the Honorable Mr. Don Ritter, President and CEO of Afghan American Chamber of Commerce. Along with him will be Mr. Lemar, who is the Chairman and founding member of the Board of Directors for AANCC. Go.
All right, everybody get ready for the Don and Suleiman Dog and Pony Show. It really is a great pleasure that we are here with you tonight. And I just wanted to say that Qasim Tareen, at that same General Assembly meeting that Bill Jorn referred to, was elected to the AACC Board of Directors. So we're very excited about tonight. The president of San Jose University talked about transition, and Lord knows everybody's talking about it, but not that many people know what it is, other than a withdrawal of significant people and resources from Afghanistan, and substituting something else. The private sector gets kicked around a lot in the discussions in Washington, D.C., and everybody is looking to the private sector to fill some of the gaps that transition implies. The private sector, given the right opportunity and given some of the incentives from Washington, D.C., as well as incentives from Afghanistan in terms of reasonable security, will definitely be the player in substituting for the vast quantities of foreign aid that are currently going into Afghanistan. So before we get into a PowerPoint presentation and discussion of AACC's modus operandi, what we do, where we do it, with whom we do it, who pays for it, I'd like my chairman, Suleiman Lutfi, to say a few words.
Thank you, Don. Salam and good evening to everyone. As the chairman of the board for the Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, I wanted to welcome and thank everyone for participating in this evening's launch for our AACC Northern California chapter. The Afghan American Chamber of Commerce is the leading organization facilitating U.S.-Afghan investment operating out of Washington, D.C. for the past almost 10 years, since 2002. ACC members, both Afghans and non-Afghans, have established a strong record of doing business and investment in Afghanistan. In addition, ACC organization has been a leader in promoting the private sector and market economy in Afghanistan, and we believe that success, security, and stability in Afghanistan will only happen with the success of the private sector and the market economy, which is sustainable and it can last for Afghans for longer than just a few contracts or donors or some of the projects that we see could go and leave. But the private sector and the middle class of Afghanistan, by investment and by projects, that's what's going to last for Afghanistan, and that's what's going to make a bigger change in even peace, security, and everything else. It is our goal at the AACC to promote the exchange of information and provide resources to our members through networking events, matchmaking conferences that we usually have annual conferences where we bring the top Afghan businesses from Afghanistan and major companies in the US to create an environment where they can discuss different opportunities, contracts, projects, and create joint ventures for investment in working in Afghanistan with our Afghans and Americans who are interested in doing business in Afghanistan. We also have publications, our website, and we hold different networking reception and a specific topic in different sectors, some receptions and events to create this environment of networking and investment. The Afghan American Chamber of Commerce is a non-profit and non-political organization with a 15-member board of directors that are elected. Every year we have General Assembly elections, and all these board members run for 3 years. They are elected by the General Assembly. And we're all volunteers, by the way. I have to repeat that all the elected board members are volunteers, from which 5 are the executive committee members, from chairman of the board, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and 2 members at large. We have almost 150 members nationwide, and some from Afghanistan who have offices or some connection in the US. And our goal is, with this chapter development and additional chapters hopefully in the near future in New York and New Jersey and other parts of the US, to make this organization truly national and larger, with more Americans and Afghans from different parts of this country, to make it really stronger and a voice to help America's mission in Afghanistan and ultimately help the people of Afghanistan who has been through so much for the past 30 years. And having this organization really puts us in a situation where we all could work together and achieve our goals privately, make business, and be successful at the same time, create jobs and opportunities for others in Afghanistan. Without further to say, I think we will quickly try to run through some of these slides.
I realize that not many people are going to be able to see the screen, but I will try to verbalize as best as possible. Sulaiman mentioned, by the way, that we're volunteers, and that's absolutely true. But a while ago, during the tenure of a previous president, there was a rumor going around that the president of AACC was receiving a $600,000 a year salary, which is why I ran for president, of course. I just want to let you know who I am. I have been involved in Afghanistan since the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1979, and continuously, particularly during the 90s, when many people in the United States deserted Afghanistan and all of the problems evolved. We had the Afghanistan Foundation. We went on a fact-finding mission to Kandahar. I'll never forget being arrested. Yeah, and we had come across a herd of camels that were watering at a gigantic crater in the road from Kandahar city to the airport. This is the time of great craters, when whole buses would go through the craters by going down and then up, and it was the most amazing sight. But anyway, there was 250 camels. We got out of our car on the way to the airport to fly out on a UN plane. This is 1997. And we took some pictures. All of a sudden, this white Toyota, the Toyota Hilux pickups that carried the black turbaned vice and virtue police, appears from out of nowhere with Kalashnikovs trained on us, and they took us down to the police station. To make a long story short, one minister one engineer, Mir Siddiq, who later became the Minister of Mines in Afghanistan, was over there working on this UNICAL project. UNICAL was trying to help the Taliban a little bit and get it good so that this pipeline could go through. And he was in full turban garb. He had all the robes. He was rotund and looked exactly like the Taliban, except his turban was white. And he made the plea that we were there in a mission to help the Afghan people, and that they really should let us go. And the next morning, they let us go. So we're forever grateful. But I do know a little bit about what would happen to Afghanistan if it would go back to the time of the Taliban. Nobody in Afghanistan wants to see that. And when you think about it, Sulaiman mentioned this a little bit, good governance, good government, rule of law really comes from the widespread distribution of commercial power, commercial interests, elevated members of the society who through their wealth, through their achievements, through their stature in the community, exert influence on their government. Now, it is important that we try to get as much as possible of good governments, and I was talking to Farah Sherzai about this. You have to have this modicum of contract legality and enforcement in the courts, but the more businesses there are, the more we will see this kind of evolution of Afghan society away from crony capitalism, away from the vast influence of contracts and subcontracts and sub-subcontracts, bought and sold on a daily basis. By the way, I've been back 32 times, not 21 times. Getting back to the Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, I think Sulaiman did talk about the mission statement, but we exist to promote business in Afghanistan, and all of the events we do and the information we distribute and the panel discussions that we have at our conferences all revolve around business and the job creation that comes from business and the stability of the country that comes from people having more than just subsistence living. So we welcome you to join with us, to join with what is a historic mission, especially at this point in time. And AACC, located in Washington, D.C., has a unique role to play.
Just pull it out so it's easy.
It's fortuitous that the center of gravity of the organization is in Washington, because we need to discuss with our political leaders and with all of our representatives and bureaucrats the value of the Afghan market economy to stability and the business contribution to that market economy. So our members are not just Afghan American companies, Afghan Americans and Afghan American companies. Our members, many American companies have joined with us. And it is not an Afghan American ethnic organization, it is Afghans and Americans in this organization. We have various levels of membership, and these figures are all at your table. We encourage you to join at whatever level seems significant and appropriate for you. The benefits are different given the number, given the resources that you provide the organization, but all of us can make a contribution. All of you can make a contribution.
We should, I think, talk about some of the benefits of the membership. At the Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, some of the benefits as a member, depending on, of course, membership level, like I mentioned, we have about 150 or so members in the past 10 years. We have a database of almost 4,000 Afghans and Americans that usually we can hold an event within 2 days' notice, can bring up 200-300 people, and that's why we work with Commerce Department and various USAID and others in Washington. But some of our core members, from sponsors to major corporations and small companies, or even individuals and students who are our members, they join us because of these benefits. And we try to create opportunities to meet influential people, try to discuss different projects, and bring focus to.
We have conferences and seminars. And we're wired. We're wired to the government agencies, to the major contractors, to the international financial organizations, and also we're wired to our sister organizations in Afghanistan. We essentially gave birth to what is today the major chamber of commerce in Afghanistan, the Afghan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So there's a wide connectivity between us and Afghan companies through ACCI. There's a wide connectivity to the construction, world of construction through the Afghan Builders Association. There's a wide connectivity to wealth in Dubai through the Afghan Business Council Dubai. These are in our, we have signed a formal memoranda of understanding with these organizations, and we talk to them all the time. Our big conference coming up in November, the Business Matchmaking Conference, which we'll get to, incorporates a tremendous input from the Afghan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Afghan Builders Association, and the Afghan Business Council Dubai. I think we talked about that, but we were very close to organizations like OPIC, like the International Overseas Private Investment Corporation. AACC held the first meeting between Afghan American, at that time, business people in 2002, and OPIC, and helped launch OPIC's program in Afghanistan, which has been the most substantial private sector investor from the U.S. side in Afghanistan to date.
Providing secure loans for major projects and companies who qualify for that. So as joint venture or Afghans or others who have businesses and companies which are working on large projects, OPIC actually provides these kind of support and help through a special fund that is possible.
The Asian Development Bank is going to be a major player in substituting for some of the things that donor nations are doing today, and they will be doing it to some very large extent through the private sector. Afghan Growth Finance is part of OPIC. We're very close to them. Many of you may know Mustafa Kazim, who is running that operation over there. There's a lot of additional member benefits we're talking about. We have committees. We have an executive committee, a development and membership committee, which has been active in this event, a media and public relations committee, and a program and events committee. We have working groups. We try to focus on certain areas that are very important to the economic development in Afghanistan via the private sector, via large contractors, via agencies of the United States government. ICT, information and communications technology, is a big one. Construction and logistics is one. Agriculture and agribusiness is very large. You'll be hearing from one of the great contributors to agriculture and agribusiness from the United States. The Kuhns, Heidi Kuhn, will be speaking as your dinner keynote. Mining and natural resources is very big. We have a working group launching in that area. We work very closely with DOD, with Commerce, with the various government agencies. Okay, the 7th Annual Business Matchmaking Conference is coming up, November 13th to 15th. I don't know, do they have these things?
We have some flyers around. Hopefully you guys received a flyer or some basic information about our signature event, which is our largest event by far, and actually the largest event on Afghanistan focused on business anywhere in the world. Actually not even, I mean, from the beginning till now, this event is the largest event organized for business and investment in Afghanistan. We have people from USAID, from State Department, from Corps of Engineers, key corporations that do investment or have some interest in Afghanistan, and about 60 to 70 or major companies, Afghan-owned companies from Afghanistan. They actually fly and come here with some of the organizations Don mentioned for this 3-day event. So additional information is available. We're trying to go as fast as we can, but I really encourage and welcome everyone, especially the new chapter. The event is in a month and a half, not maybe enough time, but November 13th through the 15th is our event in Washington, D.C. And I encourage most of you, if possible, to attend this event. If you're a business or a company, as or as individuals, you can register and participate, and you will see how much work is being done, and if there's projects or possibilities of joint venture or just working on different things on Afghanistan.
It's held at the Ronald Reagan Building, the International Trade Center, which is a wonderful location, right in downtown Washington, a stone's throw from the White House. We talked about collaborating with different agencies. Just on the 27th of September, we hosted an event with the Department of Commerce. We co-hosted 15 Afghan construction companies that came to the United States looking for partners, joint ventures, business relationships, and also they took a training program in best practices and the legal requirements and the like. And it's a very, very successful event along with the Department of Commerce. We have a lot of networking events in Washington, D.C. By the way, a lot of the things we do here, you guys can do here. What we do in Washington, you guys can do here. And really optimize the value of the kinds of things we do, given the companies, the plethora of companies in this area that could well be, that are interested in Afghanistan already, and that could be interested in Afghanistan if there was an organization like the Northern California chapter. We had an event honoring the Minister of Commerce that we co-hosted along with the embassy. We work very closely with the embassy of Afghanistan. We honored Dr. Anwar al-Haq Ahadi, the Minister of Commerce. You may know him also as the previous Minister of Finance, and also the Director General, the Governor of the Afghanistan Bank, the central bank. We hosted, along with USAID, the Mayor of Kabul, Mayor Nawandish, very, very energetic man, very creative. Kabul is bustling and booming, and you'll notice the last year and a half since Mayor Nawandish came, a whole lot more roads are being repaired, and there's less chance of breaking your axle in a pothole. So that was we had a briefing along with the USAID and the Afghan agency dealing with energy on the Afghanistan's power sector. The resources that will continue to go into Afghanistan are going to be in several crucial sectors, one of which, of course, is energy and power, electricity being so important to any other kinds of economic development. We're going backwards. We had a spring networking reception in the Washington, D.C. area. Maybe 50, 60 companies engaged in or wanting to be engaged in Afghanistan came out, our members took part in that. And these are precisely the kinds of things that Qasim and company have in mind. We're not going to reinvent wheels with the AACC Northern California chapter. I'm sure there'll be plenty of innovation, but so much, 10 years almost, has gone before that there's a really solid base to build upon for the chapter. Suleiman and I participated in the summit, Global Investment Summit.
Joint event in Ras Al Khaimah,
yes,
which is about an hour away from Dubai.
We were co-sponsors of this event, about an hour out of Dubai.
So we have members and participants from that region also, in Europe, and other U.S. companies participated in this, similar to our matchmaking conference, but it was a 2-day conference in Ras Al Khaimah. And we will hopefully do some other events similar to that, even in Kabul, Afghanistan, and other parts. And Northern California chapter will try to work on having an event here, hopefully in the spring, as the chapter develops. We will try to have a large event to create similar events here as well.
Yes, we collaborated with ISA, the Afghan Investment Support Agency, the Northern Virginia Technology Council, USAID, on a tourism promotion event. Many of you may know about this. There was a big tourism promotion by AID, USAID, and the Afghan Investment Support Agency for Panjshir and for Bamiyan, and also the Kabul region. And my understanding was, the conference was over there, and the people who joined in toured Bamiyan, toured Panjshir, marvelous possibilities for tourism in Afghanistan, particularly in places like Panjshir and Bamiyan, which to date have had reasonably good security. Also, in Panjshir there are no Taliban, and there's some gorgeous places. I myself have been involved in a project along the river. We co-hosted again with the Department of Commerce a major construction event where Afghan companies came to the United States for the ConExpo, the biggest construction event in the world. Takes place in Las Vegas. It was a fun time. Actually, Suleiman, being a lot younger, stayed out a lot later. Truly. Okay. And we hosted an event promoting New Kabul City. There's a group promoting a patch of land, the Sabs Barikab city development.
Sabs, right outside Kabul, there's plans for developing a new city, or a new Kabul basically, so it's a 15-year plan. Right now the first phase is being implemented, and it's going to be mainly funded by Afghans themselves. And it should be, the details, we can definitely provide that, but I'm also trying to move Don and myself faster so we don't take so much time here.
And we have here the events of 2010, which include our business matchmaking conference and enabling economic opportunities in Afghanistan. We did a thing with in the U.S. Congress.
Alex Steer from
Alex Steer, the head of the Afghan program, AFPAC they call it in USAID, was our speaker. Noor Jalwari, the head of ISA.
Afghanistan, enabling Afghans and other major companies who are looking for joint ventures, or Afghans themselves who speak the language, understand the country, and why not we as Afghans actually challenge ourselves, if we want to build our country, to really get active, and by being up front and getting our forces together nationwide, actually we can make a major difference, and we can speak for ourselves, for Afghanistan, much more than having Pakistan or the region or other countries make some policies for us. Again, economy, private sector, and business is the key for this, and I believe as the Chamber of Commerce we can really do that effectively if we our chapters here in New York and Afghanistan subcommittees and different working groups through different events do more and more of these kind of events, and that will make a huge difference. So this was an example. I think at the very end Don would say a few more things, but I think that's about it. If any questions, we're here. Later on we will have an opportunity also to network. We'll be glad to answer any questions. Feel free to ask anything.
I just want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you very much.
It is an honor to introduce the next guest speaker of the evening. He is the interim chapter president of AACC Northern California. He is the CEO of Electroimaging Systems, as well as the founder and president of Afghan Business Network. Please welcome the Honorable Mr. Qasim Tareen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everyone. It is an honor and pleasure to stand before you and see such a great crowd in here to look at our AACC event. You heard from my colleagues what we have to offer. And my hats off to the group of AACC who are coming in here all the way from Washington, D.C. As they mentioned, what they have. They spend money from their own pocket. Means their heart are in Afghanistan. And they're spending their own money, their own time, to go to that country and help the poor people. What do you mean by poor people? We all understand over 40% of the people in Afghanistan today are living under poverty line. Means they're starving to death. 80% of the income in Afghanistan are coming from donors. 20% of what they produce. Imagine. We as Afghan American, we owe it to our country. Never ever forget where you come from. And myself personally, my heart is with you all together, is in Afghanistan as well. And I will encourage every single one of you. And I reach out to you because today I can see in this room alone, we have folks who are running multi-billion-dollar corporation today. What does that mean to Afghanistan? What does that mean to your own people? Well, I'm reaching out. We as a group of AACC Afghan and American Chamber of Commerce reaching out to you to come and join us. As you can see, we have programs for you. There's nothing which we can do in here together. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important. I can see right in front of me, such as Heidi and Gary, who has been in Afghanistan back and forth so many times, and they put their heart and soul there. And we as an Afghan, some of us as well. I mean, we're doing it. We're doing it. AACC, Afghan Chamber of Commerce, as you know, has been around since 2002. They worked so hard to build the collaboration bridge between 5 different countries around the world. And we were not present in the Northern California, as a matter of fact, in the West. So what is that we're trying to do here? We're trying to encourage every single one of you to come and join us in Northern California chapter. And thank you, Don. Thank you, Sulman, with your beautiful heart, what you have done for your country, what you have done for your people in bringing this chapter. And I'd like to just invite you to applaud them for what they have done. Thank you. And it is absolutely honored to be part of this wonderful organization. I've been working with them for the past 2 years. I was going back and forth in Washington, D.C. I was involved with lots of different activities in there. As a matter of fact, we all know this. I mean, majority of my friends and colleagues in here, they know. We were the first people, as a matter of fact, myself, who stood up in front of the congressional or congressman to talk about Afghanistan, about poverty, about sustainability. Why shouldn't we bring sustainability in Afghanistan? We all are the most talented people in the world today. Do we have businesses? Of course we do. From Cisco to HP, Hewlett-Packard, to Oracle, to Safeway, to majority of the major businesses around the world, as a matter of fact, has been done by diasporas of Afghans around the world. And that's what it is. And I am proud also to bring my core. The group which I am going to be trusting for the next 3 months, as a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be part of this AACC for all my life. I'm going forward, but since the policy of AACC allows us to do an election. One thing I like to do tonight, we do have quite a few applications for the new members. I will encourage every single one of you with businesses, please participate, be part of this organization. Go and fill up that application, become the member. And very soon, within the next 3 months, we're going to have a general election in here, and also I would like you to be part of that election and become the president, vice president, treasurer, or secretary of this chapter in Northern California. So now at this point, I am as an interim president of this chapter. I would like to invite my group, which I am putting all my soul and effort into it, and I'm sure they are the most talented people. Their heart is in Afghanistan, as well as here too, by the way. I mean, they're encouraging businesses and developing businesses, create jobs. And here's one thing we believe in. We're in firm belief. Don't give them fish. Teach them how to fish. And that's the model. That is the model. And with that said, I'd like to invite Umayjan Ranima, my also Mushman John Zaire Darby, treasurer. Also Sultan Sayed, the secretary of our organization. Thank you. So we're it. So now, all of us here, we all are together. Now let's put the hands together and go through this wave. What is that wave, guys? What is the wave means is, at this point, is we're on the same boat. The economy, they say, is going down. We all believe. But once we put our hands together, the unity together, I think we can go through this wave. Trust me, we can do it. There's nothing can stop us, and nothing could stop us if we really believe in each other and put it together. Thank you, and God bless you all. And Umayjan, if you have a few words to say. All right.
به نام خداوند جان و خرد، حاضرین عالی قدر، سلام. همایون رهنما هستم. تشریف آوریتان خیر مقدم میگم. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, my name is Humayun Rahnama, and currently I'm the president of Global Reconstruction Network, Contemporary Realty Group, and working with Qasim John Tareen. It's an honor to have this title as interim vice president of Northern Californian Afghan American Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of challenges there, and we know that we are well aware of it. Our heart, like everybody mentioned, is in Afghanistan. Specifically, we try to support Afghanistan's economy and create jobs for Afghan people. I don't want to take your time that much. I would like to say your presence is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
At this point, I'd like to, since we are all involved with entrepreneurs, investors, mentors, and service providers, I'd like to invite the president of Afghan Coalition at this point, Wahid Jani Mohman, to come up stage. And we have a few graduated entrepreneurs who are going to receive certificates of graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Qasim John, for inviting us and for giving us this opportunity tonight. First of all, I wanted to congratulate the Afghan Chamber of Commerce for opening their new chapter here in California, in Northern California. I think this is the biggest step, and because California is a big part of U.S. economy, so the not being here was probably, I mean, being here is a very good opportunity for the chapter, and for Qasim John to lead this chapter, I think is the best choice. He's a very energetic, a good businessman, and besides that, he's the active board member, one of the best, our board members in Afghan Coalition. So, he always energizes us with his ideas, and I'm closely working with him, and I know how much good idea he has about this new chapter, and I'm sure that you're going to take it to a very next level. With this, I wanted to, I have a mission here tonight which is simple but it's important. Important because I have to present a few certificates of completion to a few ladies of our community, a few very courageous ladies, because about a year and a half ago they decided to change their life and the life of their families by going into business. They know how much business is important, and that was, I mean, for ladies from a community which is to decide that this was a big step for them, but they needed some help. There was the time when Afghan coalition came and offered their help in the form of a new program called Micro Enterprise. The project was to get a group of community women that they wanted to do business, teach them the skills needed, and with that prepare them for their next level, which is going to be their own business. So in the past 1 year, the Afghan coalition worked with a group of over 12 people, and successfully they completed their mission. They got the skills needed in handcrafts and cooking and all that, and now we are going to the next level. So they are practically started a new community kitchen with the help of local business people, and this is why I think that the close relationship between the Afghan coalition and other community organizations with the Chamber of Commerce is the basis of success because of involvement in the community. What we see here, for example, in this project, the micro enterprise, which the next level are going to be microfinance. So we see the new chapter to help a project bridging between Afghanistan and the community here. In Afghanistan, handcrafts, and so there are millions of people that they could be benefited from and connecting. I mean, like, our idea is to produce there and sell it here, and this is the commerce. And so with an organization like that, I think that is going to be really successful. So, I don't want it to take that much of time, but I want to start presenting just a few words about, maybe most of you know Afghan Coalition, but for those who came from East Coast, I just wanted to say that Afghan Coalition has been a foundation for the Afghan American community here in the Northern California to support the community in many, many ways. In the past 13 years that we have been part of City of the Fremont Family Resource Center, we provided assistance and help for almost over 1,500 Afghans each year, and we run about 10 programs that benefit many, many people. So with this, I wanted to invite Ramajan Popal, she's the executive director of Afghan Coalition. She's the lady that tirelessly for the past, as long as I know her, especially in the past 13 years that I closely work with her, she's all her life is to serve the community. And sure.
First of all, I would like to introduce Nazima Momand, who is a mentor, a teacher for the Afghan community. She has a program in the Noor TV to teach us the cooking, so I congratulate her for her success. And also she will be in Afghanistan to participate at the best chef in the Afghanistan, I think, Audio-Not TV.
Nazima Moman and Wahid Moman, so there is probably a relationship, so she's my wife. She has given this certificate for her, for the past 25 years, she worked for the community. As an employee of the Alameda County healthcare system, she helped thousands of new Afghans that came here as a refugee. So everybody knows her, and she's as a member of as a board member of the Afghan Women Association, and for her being a volunteer for the Afghan Coalition. So this is given for her, so not just because she's my wife. Okay.
Now I would like to introduce Sima Farhad. She is the mentor and tutor of the Micro-Enterprise Project. As Wahid Moman said, Micro-Enterprise Project is a very community-based program, which is we are helping these women to start their business. And Sima Farhad is one of the teachers of this project. So one of our entrepreneurs, which is very active, very talented woman in our community, is Rohela Naya, which is congratulations for you. And also Rahima Sami, also one of very active, very talented woman in our community. And I would like to ask Mina Popal also. She's one of the community members, which is start her own business. She's very successful in her business. So it's almost 2 years she has this business. And I would like to congratulate her. And also, one of Sharifa John Wayan is not here, so thank you very much for giving us the time so we can introduce you.
I just wanted to add that, giving these certificates tonight were just not coincidentally, this was, I think, a good occasion for that, because business, and business. So, one last thing that I wanted to say, I wanted to thank you, the City of Fremont, for the support that they provided to our organization for the past 13 years, and especially Susan Shinfield. I don't know if she's here tonight, but she is the Director of Public Relations of the City of Fremont. She has been really close to the Afghan community, and she provided so much support. Thank you for all of it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, John. That was very nice. Congratulations to all the graduates of the entrepreneurs. One thing I like to mention to all of you, moving forward, tonight is the beginning. The beginning of our chapter in Northern California. Moving forward, we brought a program for you all. Every other Wednesday at the same location, we're having dinner. We're going to have networking for all our entrepreneurs, business owners who are willing to join the business community of AACC, Afghan American Chamber of Commerce, in helping Afghanistan. I will encourage every single one of you as a businessman and woman in this room to also encourage your colleagues, your friends, your family members to come and join us. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to bring on the table for you guys all to look at, to see what is business is all about. I know in the past we had no such a group or organization built in this Northern California. Moving forward, as of tonight, as I said one more time, the beginning of our movement through business in Northern California. Thank you so very much. Enjoy dinner, and we'll see you around. And then if you have any questions or concern, my colleagues and myself will be here to answer. Thank you.
I have a very special guest here tonight to share a few thoughts and words with you right as you embark on the dinner. I have known Heidi Kuhn since Roots of Peace was created and went into Afghanistan. Actually, it was working in demining issues in Africa prior to coming to Afghanistan. But Heidi and Gary Kuhn are two exemplary American Afghans. They have dedicated their lives over the last 7-8 years to Afghanistan to create greater value for the Afghan agriculture. Agriculture, as many of you know, is the predominant livelihood in Afghanistan. And it had been decimated by the struggle with the Soviet Union the Civil War, then the war with the Taliban. It needed tremendous boost phase to come back to life. Gary and Heidi Kuhn and Roots of Peace, with some, I think, approximately $60 million worth of activity under contract, have boosted grape growing in the areas north of Kabul, have boosted grapes all over the country, have boosted pomegranates. Heidi will talk a lot more about the details of what she does, but for the point is this: for a Northern California chapter, evaluating the potential of individuals like yourselves, evaluating the potential for business in Afghanistan, interested in agriculture and agribusiness, there is no better person to address you for a few minutes than one Heidi Kuhn. Heidi? Heidi is a potential Nobel Peace Prize winner, I believe, through business.
Salam alaikum. I just want to say what a great honor it is to stand before you on this very special evening. It's an evening of inception, of social entrepreneurship, of collective wisdom in the heart of Fremont, California. And I want to say a very special thank you to Congressman Don Ritter, who since 2002 had taken a dream and turned it into reality. A dream of creating an American-Afghan Chamber of Commerce, and I've seen it from a small inception grow to a chapter in Northern California. So former Congressman of Pennsylvania, we salute you, Don Ritter. And I think as a mother of 4 children and a wife, my dear husband Gary is joining us, has been to Afghanistan 31 times. I can only claim roughly 1/3 of that, but not bad for a Marin County housewife. My dear brother, and I truly say that, Qasim Tarin, and his dear family gathered in this room, the Mistress of Ceremonies and others who've joined us in collecting pennies one at a time to build schools in Afghanistan, a country where 44.6% of the population today remains under the age of 14 years old. Now that spells opportunity for me, as far as building and educating bright entrepreneurs to be teachers, members of the judicial systems, and yes, maybe even governor of Bamyan and other provinces one day. Qasim, as I've always said, coincidence is a miracle in which God prefers to remain anonymous. Perhaps a small bit of our fundraising this evening may begin with the 2 of us showing and taking a photo of our driver's license. Because throughout our dear friendship, I have learned not only we were born under the same star of January 6th across the world, but it was the same year. So, I didn't say what year that was. Maybe that's part of the donation that maybe can come to AACC, but we can have a little fun with that, but that really is a remarkable coincidence, and I salute and thank you for your business acumen that you brought. Roots of Peace began in September of 1997 with a vision of a simple toast that the world may go from mines to vines. It was 3 weeks after the late Princess Diana had died and catapulted the issue of landmines to the forefront of the international agenda. As a 5th generation resident of a family from Marin County, California, I looked around the beautiful land in the San Francisco Bay Area and I thought, what can we do to help alleviate the pain where it takes 8 pounds to detonate a landmine, and it holds the land hostage for future generations. Anyone from Afghanistan knows the pain of a landmine. It's far beyond political military affairs, for our United States government supports us actively. In fact, the United States gives more than any other country in the world to help remove landmines. It holds the land hostage. and it continues with the poverty, or the need for poverty eradication. So with Roots of Peace, what we have done is we enjoy our food this evening. We have, through public-private partnerships with Diane Disney Miller, daughter of Walt Disney, Jeff Skoll, the co-founder of eBay, started a little film company called Participant Film, got a few Oscars with George Clooney, with Syriana Good Luck, Kite Runner, Charlie Wilson's War, joined us with Roots of Peace to help give us the funding. So today we stand proudly and announce that we are $60 million under contract through establishing very solid public-private partnerships with USAID, USDA, Department of Defense, United States Department of, State Department, Asian Development Bank, as you heard reference to, and the European Union, GTZ, and the World Bank. Private donors, foundations have all come in to support us, and I'd like to also honor a restaurant across the street where we went to the Slime restaurant, and their daughter, whose family owns a major computer company, donated and created computers that were given to Roots of Peace to disseminate throughout the 28 of the 34 provinces of which we work today to help the children not only cross roads safely, but they're crossing oceans through ePals in special computers that are created in both Dari and English. Roots of Peace, as I mentioned, works in 28 of the 34 provinces, and again, as we enjoy the beautiful food on our plates, to the north, we're helping to empower and train the farmers, and again, in a model that is replicable of demine, replant, rebuild. As we cleanse the land, clear and plant, and yes, with our military, we call ourselves proud members of Roots of Peace. Clear and plant, clear and plant, clear and plant. So we are able to provide export markets to India, Pakistan, Delhi, Dubai. We just opened our first Roots of Peace export offices in India, and we're on target to open it in Turkey, Russia, and Dubai this year. So as we celebrate the earth and the concept that we can take an economic model and create something innovative called the economics of peace, and create something, perhaps a new equation, where market forces and military forces join together to plant the roots of peace on earth. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time, for the opportunity to educate. I think as we reflect on just a few numbers, low-value crops in Afghanistan today, such as wheat, an average farmer will make $800 a year. When they grow opium, they'll make an average of $1,200 a year. Roots of Peace introduced the trellis vineyards, prune the vine, double the yield, and the farmers are able to make between $3,000 and $4,000 a year. We opened up the first cold storage facility in Mirbachakot and also Kandahar. Because when I first arrived in Afghanistan, after the initial fundraiser, Marcia McCall, many of you were there, in December 2001, we started raising funds for Afghanistan because we thought somehow with the American spirit of entrepreneurship, we could do something. And it's astonishing and very humbling to me to stand before you as a woman CEO and be proudly and fiscally responsible at 15% overhead, 60 million under contract in Afghanistan. As Qasim says, this is never about any of us, but it's an opportunity to show how we can hopefully gather a year from now and magnify that with all of the partnerships to empower all of the abilities that we have in this room, the time, the talent, and the treasure to really revitalize Afghanistan. A beautiful quote in Afghanistan that was told to me is "Katrar, Katrar, Darya." drip, drip, drip ocean. May you all enjoy your dinner, and thank you very much. Tashakor.
I don't know if you remember.